Hello, my name is Barbara Lewis with Singing After 40. Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about that famous song, House of the Rising Sun. It was first released by the Animals in 1964, and because of that it became very famous, but many other people had recorded it. It's a folk song apparently from the 1800s. There are several stories about the lyrics. The one that I like best and that I'm going to use in my singing of it today and my talking about it today is of a young girl who spent her early years in a brothel in New Orleans, brothel called Rising Sun or the House of the Rising Sun. Apparently that place does not exist, at least it doesn't exist now. So that's the backstory. The actual singing of it is what I want to talk about mostly today. It's a song that repeats itself over and over. The melody is pretty simple. The lyrics are powerful. I use 6 verses. You could use fewer, or perhaps you could find more. The key is important because there's only one octave in this melody. And the upper note is where you can make the drama and the theater happen the most. So you want that upper note to be within your range, but maybe in a dramatic part of your range. So maybe a little bit higher than what's really easy to sing, because you want a little bit of extra energy for that high note so that you can sing it a bit quietly, or you can sing it with more drama, or you could sing it a bit rougher. It's got to be within your range, but just at the peak of your range, perhaps. I start out the first verse telling a very simple and direct story, and the upper note here is a little bit raw, a little bit rough. So let's start out and you can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll come back to verse 2. So here we go, verse 1. There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor girl, and Lord, I know I'm one. So that first verse is a very simple storytelling approach. There's not too much drama there. She's just beginning to unfold her history. The second verse starts to build on something. She says that her mother was a tailor. She sewed my new blue jeans. So it sounds like a good relationship with her mom, who was generous and helped her. And then she says, my father was a gambler. And I think when she says that you get the feeling that it may have been his fault. He gambled away their money, and it may have been his fault that she ends up in a brothel. So I begin to feel a little bit of the drama building. There's, just before I forget, there's a very early recording, I think it's from 1937, of a young girl, 15, in her teens anyway, singing this song. And you really do get a sense of the raw feeling in it. So I recommend you listen to it. So here's verse 2, where she's telling about her mom and about her dad, and the drama is beginning to build. My mother was a tailor. She sewed my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans. Now the only thing a gambler needs is a suitcase and a trunk, and the only time he's satisfied is when he's on a drunk. I decided to let 2 verses go by so that you'd get a feeling of how it's gradually developing. Keep in mind that this version that I'm doing here is a very intimate version. If I was on a big stage with a microphone in hand, there would be more gestures, more body movement. There would be probably more changes of volume. But this is more like television as opposed to being in a movie, in a film. So the gestures, everything is smaller. So you really do have a wide breadth of possibility here. You want to take your audience on a journey that leads up in energy and maybe then leads back down. In the case of this one, that's what happens. It builds and then it comes down to a fairly bitter ending, sad and bitter. This other verse that I did here, after my mother was a tailor, after she talks about her mom and then her dad, then she kind of describes what happened with her dad. The only thing that a gambler needs is a suitcase and a trunk. And the only time that he's satisfied is when he's on a drunk. You get a feeling for the bitterness there, that her father's behavior in her remembering of it reduced her possibilities. And again, she may have ended up in a brothel because there weren't the means for her to do maybe what she wanted to do in her life. So what are some of the things that you can do to build this drama in a fairly intimate setting? Well, you use bended notes a little bit. You add some notes, twist the melodies a little bit, like in the house of the rising sun. You could do that. In the house of the rising sun. You can close your mouth on the rising when you do the top note. Spend your life. You can give it a lot of cry if you want. These are the kinds of things that you can add that will give you more drama, that'll make it more interesting. Now, mothers, tell your children not to do what I have done. Spend your life in pain and misery in the house of the rising sun. I've got one foot on the platform, the other's on the train. I'm going back to New Orleans to wear that ball and chain. So we're back to the first verse again, but closing the circle of this story. So you want the repeat of the first verse to encompass everything that you've said. So it's going to be bigger in tension, perhaps sadder. I look down. I use a breathier tone at times, perhaps a bigger sound on top. But it's got elements from the whole thing in this one final statement of sadness and tragedy. There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor girl. And Lord, I know I'm one. I hope that you can see the many different possibilities there are for this really powerful but simple song. So you make small changes that are meaningful to your audience. I'm using the Animals version of the backing track, but there are other possibilities too. There's something that's a little bit more electronic. I was listening with my bow to a film called I Used to Be Famous, and in there, these two guys who are called, I think, the Tin Men, they do just a little bit of House of the Rising Sun in their manner, which is a bit electronic, kind of edgy. There's also a new agey backing track for this. So you have many choices. I chose something that was really a very standard, practical way of approaching it, because that's what we have more access to these days. But if you have access to another backing track that's very different, then go for it. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye from Barbara Lewis with Singing After 40.